What follows is for news and entertainment purposes only. Any use of the forthcoming information in violation of any federal, state, or local law is prohibited. Mike North, you are on fire.
You know anybody else that good?
No.
No, they'll tell you they are. They may think they are, but we're documented every single week. The eye is on us.
That's
and I ain't talking about the eye of CBS, the public eye. The first feeling I got when I won a bet was elation. The worst feeling was when I lost a bet and I wanted to jump off a balcony.
Give me a quick betting tip.
Yeah, do win and don't lose, but usually it doesn't always work out that way. How many times you heard this? I'm going to Vegas. I go, how'd you do? Well, if I lost $4,000, but you go there to have fun. No, you go there to win. And that's what's wrong with people. They have the negative mentality in anything they do, including sports, before they even laid the bet down. So you got to be positive. Vegas Scores and Odds is the landing place that gave me an opportunity to handicap. They let me show what I could do, and there's packages, there's free picks. What does Vegas Scores and Odds do when you perform? They reward you, and they take care of you, and that's why we're ready to do this show.
Vegas Scores and Odds presents the Mike North Advantage, and it begins right now. That's right. The Mike North Advantage starts right now. I am Aldo Gandia, Mike's wingman, and welcome to this Wednesday night version of Vegas Scores and Odds presents the Mike North Advantage. We're here every Wednesday afternoon to give you 3 free picks from Mike and also talk about sports. Today we'll preview the NBA Finals and get into this NHL Stanley Cup Finals, which sees the Boston Bruins ahead 1-0. We'll talk Cubs and Sox and just about anything else that pops up. Mike North, how are you, my friend?
I've never been better, my friend. Aldo, how are you? He is Aldo Gandia, ladies and gentlemen, my pal, the guy that makes it work. And first, before we go on and do anything else, whether it's Vegas Scores and Odds, whether it's the picks, whether it's whatever we do, I have to commend you. Did you put that Chicago Bear 100 deal together that I put up on Twitter today with all the different players from the different eras? Did you do that?
Yes, I did. I did do that. It was fun. A little
Let
research.
me tell you something. That's one of the best I've seen. It's not because we're friends. It's not because we're partners. I'm telling you now, I put excellent. Are you kidding me? I throw out compliments like sewer covers. This is the truth. Aldo did a great job. If you go to Bear Bar Room and check out just a great presentation, a lot of thought put into it. I wasn't so happy about Cutler being on the damn thing 3 times. I thought you got a little bit carried away with that. You got Buffon on once. You got Butkus on twice. You got Cutler on 3 times.
Yeah.
You know me. I tell you the thing's fantastic, but I had to find something. And you know what? Of all the people that be featured, it had to be him. But then I started thinking, he was there for a decade.
Yes, he was.
You're talking, man. Okay, you're there from 1920. It's going to be 100 years. He was there for 10 of those, basically.
Yeah.
More. So, great job, Aldo.
Thank you very much.
Just a fantastic job. And by the way, somebody else who does a great job.
Who's that?
He just punched this number in. I'm number 1 right now at Vegas Scores and Odds. Go to @VSAO. Check out the front page. Check out the tote board. Check out what I'm doing. Kicking ass in baseball. That's all we got right now with some hockey and some basketball sprinkled in, folks. Make sure you check out. Go to the number. Excuse me, 1-800-808-3419, 1-800-808-3419 for a free pick and info for the premier handicap site in the country, VegasScoresandOdds.com. It's the only site you'll ever need. Got all the big guys on there. We'll talk more about the top handicappers halfway through the show that they got over there besides yours truly. Vegas Scores and Odds. That's VegasScoresanddodds.com for a tote board. Check it out and then follow us at VSAO. The number, once again, 1-800-808-3419 just for the free pick. That's 1-800-808-3419. But all together, I was really, I never see, my wife says this, pleased with what you did with that 100 thing, Elder. Great job.
Thank you. You know, when you put something like that together, you look at it and you say, wow, who am I leaving out here? Whose picture really needs to be in here? And how can I slot it into the year and so forth? And that can be a head scratcher. It was like putting together a puzzle, but it was a lot of fun. And I appreciate you pointing it out. If you go to Twitter, it's right at the top of @BearsBarroom. It's pinned to the top, so you can take a look at it. Let's talk a little.
You had Roosevelt Taylor. You had Benny McRae.
Yeah.
You had George Musso. I know all these guys. I knew every guy you put up there.
Wow, that's
I
amazing.
knew Sid Buckman, George Hallis, George Musso, Doug Buffone, Dick Butkus, Rosie Taylor, Gail Sayers. Just a great presentation. Bulldog Turner, Nagurski, come on now.
You had them all. Great job. Brett Grange, too.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Good stuff. So what's on your mind, my friend?
All right. Well, you know, I hate to do this, but we have to give tribute to a guy who passed away just recently. He played for the Chicago Cubs for a number of seasons, and when I'm reading all these obituaries on the player, and they're bringing up that stupid play when he played for the Boston Red Sox, where I prefer to remember him from things like this that he did for the Chicago Cubs.
Oh, there's one hit deep to right field. Hey, kiss it goodbye. A grand slammer by Buckner. And 4 more runs are in. 5 for the...
That is, of course, Bill Buckner. Back in 1979, he had a 7 RBI game in a thriller at Wrigley Field against the Phillies. He went 4 for 7, including that grand slam. He was just a fun player to watch. Came here from the Los Angeles Dodgers and then went from here, I believe, straight to Boston, where he had the unfortunate play that people always recall him from. I'd love for you to share your memories about Bill Buckner.
Hey, I didn't mean to step on the video there, but on the clip there. But what I would say is this simply: if Harold Baines is in the Hall of Fame, he should be in.
Yes.
This is the problem we got here now. 22 years, 2,800 hits. There was no better hitter besides Pete Rose in the 70s and 80s. He struck out 3 times, 0 times. He was an all-star, batting champ. Me and B went to a Boston game when we were in Boston, Massachusetts on vacation, and we saw him. I had a Cub jersey on, and he came running over. It was the year after he got traded from the Cubs, and we got a picture of me and him, and he went right there in batting practice. And I went there intentionally, and we had first-row boxes.
Wow.
Really nice guy. One of my favorite ball players. Played hurt all the time. It's a shame you hear about, guys that today, not that it's their fault, announces Kawhi Leonard's got a limp, or this guy. Are you kidding? Bill Buckner had a limp every day.
Yes.
Every day you watched him play. And you're right. There were some classless people who, even in the obituary on Twitter, I'm not mentioning names, but it figures. Right. That's all I'm going to say. It would be them that put the ball going through his legs, and it says "Rest in peace, Bill Buckner."
Oh no, I didn't see that.
The picture.
That's awful.
Oh yeah, real tools.
Oh my God.
But you know what? Most of it was respectful. 99% of it. I think baseball gave him a great send off. I think everybody had the utmost respect for Billy Buck. Played for the Dodgers, played for the Cubs, played for the Red Sox. Never missed. Tried not to miss games. The guy, it was painful to watch him run.
Yeah,
but he
really
gave
was.
100% every day. He's got the ultimate respect.
Yeah, he was cut out of that Pete Rose kind of cloth where he just gave his all. Pete would run to first base on a walk, and Buckner wasn't that. But Buckner, like you said, the guy was playing hurt all the time. He never complained. You saw him hobbling out there, and he delivered. He was magical at getting his bat on the ball. In that 7 RBI game, I went back back and looked at the highlights, and there were a couple of RBIs that came out of little bloop hits because he was just protecting the plate, stick his bat out there, and the ball got over the infield in front of the outfielders, and he drove in a run. He was just a master. And if you look at his stats, he batted over 300 practically every year. This guy was a good ball player. Too bad.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be honored, and he's a Hall of Fame type of guy to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the bar was lowered. Not that that's anything against Harold Baines, but it was. By him being in the Hall of Fame. So now every time a guy has 27, 28, 2,900 hits, you start looking at him.
Yeah.
But, you know, he didn't have as many awards as you'd like, but neither did Baines.
Mm-hmm.
And longevity, 22 years? Who plays 22 years now? Not many.
Not many.
Not many.
That is
so,
for sure.
God bless him. He was just a great ball player. I loved watching him play. The Cubs have been fortunate. I think their strongest position, traditionally as a team, is first base.
Right.
I mean, from Ernie Banks to Bill Buckner to Mark Grace to Anthony Rizzo to Phil Cavaretta.
Yeah.
A product of Lane Tech High School. How about that? Guy goes to Lane, graduates, and he's playing down the street at Wrigley Field 2 years later.
A dream come true.
Are you kidding me? So Cavaretta, Grace, Leon Durham. I mean, Bill Buckner. I mean, Ernie Banks. Anthony Rizzo. First base, I think, is the position when you talk about the Cubs having great players. Where were the greatest ones at? I'm starting to lean that way.
Yeah, that's a really great. That's a really great point about the.
Don't I come up with some twisters?
You just pulled it out. Just pulled it out of nowhere.
I pulled it out somewhere, but I won't say where. Yeah.
Our man Harp 4803 is in the chat room as he is for every show, and he says he's a diehard Sox fan, but he agrees with you. Harold Baines is not in his Hall of Fame. He's just being honest.
No, that's the truth. If a White Sox fan says Harold Baines belongs in the Hall of Fame, they don't know nothing about baseball. They don't know about the Hall of Fame and what excellence it used to take to get in. But now it's been political. Jerry Reinsdorf, Tony La Russa, they're the ones that pushed him getting in. Now, you got to look at Bill Buckner. I'm sorry. Because if you're going to ask me who I'd want batting in a key moment, it ain't Baines between the two, period.
Right. Well, in that game that I played where Buckner hit the grand slam, the Phillies ended up beating the Cubs 23-22 in that game. And that just leads to our next topic, which is this Cubs bullpen. My goodness, what has happened to the bullpen? It's really been the number one reason why this team, which started off the month of May 8-1, is now under 500 for the rest of May. They are struggling with this bullpen, and I wonder if you believe that Pedro Strop, who has been out with this hamstring injury for 3 weeks, he's rehabbing at Iowa. He actually pitched last night and gave up one hit in one inning. Do you think he could really come in and be a big boost for this bullpen that needs desperate help?
Well, yeah, and I think that you want to keep your stars healthy too. Look, I think the bullpen's going to be okay. I think they've hit a little bit of a rut, but they're winning games. They're not going into long losing streaks. I think they're going to have a tough one, tonight, to be honest with you. But I like their team. But I'm going to tell everybody what I've been bitching about all day, and for 2 days. And Cub fans just don't get it. And I said this in 2015, and now we had Jonas Knox on last week, who used to work with me at Fox, and we used to do a baseball podcast, too.
Oh.
And in 2015, I said, listen, if Joe Madden keeps playing his star players all over the place, it's going to come back and haunt him. And what happens? Okay, it may be 3-4 years later, but Chris Bryant is playing right field. There's a ball that Hayward calls, because Bryant does not know how to play the position. He's athletic enough to play it, but he's not a seasoned right fielder. They run into each other, and now this guy's out for who knows what. I don't know if he's playing tonight, but he's been out for 2, 3, 4 days. And what happened a few years back? when Schwarber was out for the year, remember?
Yep.
Put him out from catcher to left field. Who'd they run into? Dexter Fowler.
Right.
So what I'm trying to tell Cub fans is it's time for Joe Madden to quit treating the superstar-type player on his team like utility players. You want to move Ben Zobrist around, or you move Javi from short to second, that's one thing. You're moving Bryant. Do the Colorado Rockies move Nolan Arenado from third base?
No.
Hell no.
Right. Yep.
And I've never seen an MVP-type player moved around like this guy. He's in left, he's in right, he's at first, he's at third. This is Chris Bryant, man. You run differently, you act differently, and now you're hurt. And I just don't understand why they don't keep him at third. And once you take Chris Bryant, Aldo, and move him to right, now you got another third baseman, maybe Bodie, and you got Chris Bryant in right. Both positions aren't as good as if Bryant's in third and Hayward's in right.
Right.
Period.
I agree.
You've rocked, and David Kaplan. I saw Dave on Twitter. He says that's what makes the Cubs depth. No, Dave. It's versatility. Moving Bryant from third to the outfield isn't depth. He's versatile. They don't have a whole lot of depth because Zobrist is out. Addison Russell, thank God, everybody listened to me and said, don't get rid of this guy. But they don't have a whole lot of depth. They have players that can play a bunch of different positions. Moving a guy from first to left isn't depth. That's being versatile. And that's fine. But you can get away with that for only so long.
Yep. Do you think this is a case of Joe Madden? You know, he's received criticism from baseball fans that Joe likes to kind of prove that he's the smartest man in the room. Do you think this is a case of Joe Madden just overthinking and trying to be too creative?
I think he gets bored. I like Joe. I hope he comes back. I think he gets bored. I think some of the stuff he does works. And the Schwarber at leadoff, okay, 0 for 4 yesterday, but he's been doing okay up until then. But he's still hitting only 220. He came with that out of nowhere. Then he puts these guys all over. Puts one guy in. Bryant will not say no. But you know what? It's very tough to lose a guy of his caliber. And without Zobrist now, too. So they're playing a little limpy right now. Their bullpen will come around. I'm confident of it. Chatwood is better than he was last year. I know that's nothing to speak about. But you're right, it is a concern. But let me tell you something. I watched the Red Sox last night. They were winning 5-2. They lost 7-5 late in the game because of the bullpen of Boston. So everybody's got bullpen problems right now. Not a whole lot of teams with great bullpens.
That is for sure. My goodness.
Yeah, really. I mean, teams are losing every night because of their bullpen, and these managers just keep on coming out there.
I feel so sorry.
It's unbelievable.
I feel so sorry for you guys in the handicapping business because it makes it almost impossible when starting pitchers are going 5-6 innings and you're giving the game up to bullpens that you just don't know how they're going to perform. Nobody knows how anybody's going to perform, but with bullpens, it is much, much worse. It's unbelievable what you guys got to go through.
I told Carmen, I tweeted out to Carmen DeFalco today, and I tweeted out on Twitter. I put that game as a demonstration of a team winning and then giving it away because of the bullpen. And I said, in the years that I've been doing this, at least the last 20, this is the biggest adjustment now that has to be made. If you're going to bet baseball, you better quit worrying about the starting pitchers. Some of them only pitch one inning. They're called an opener. And you better start worrying about the bullpen.
That is, maybe the league just needs to revert where the entire team, the entire pitching staff is referred to as the bullpen, right?
Well, you know what? I can't even find the Cubs bullpen. They don't even have it on the field. Somebody says it's like in the basement or something. I don't know where the hell the thing's at. Where is it? How did they get away with not having a bullpen on the field? That's part of the fun of going to a baseball game.
It always was when you sat down in the left field stands
and watched the bullpen.
Exactly. You can interact with the players. You could take a look at the pitcher that was coming in the game to see what his stuff was. And then if you were in the right field stands, you could heckle the relief pitcher. That's all gone.
And I don't want to hear, why didn't they put it in left field and right field again? They did. The Giants did it. They built a new ballpark. They got bullpens in left and right field. There's a couple teams like that.
Right.
Why? How do you get away? Look, I used to stand on the catwalk at Old Comiskey Park. Smokey Burgess would be catching Hoyt Wilhelm in relief when we'd be talking to him. Hey, Smokey. Now you gotta give him a phone call. You gotta call him. You gotta get the number from the bullpen because the only time you see them is when they're dancing after a homer. I don't know where they're at.
Yeah, they got that camera down there, and when they go to that camera, the audio for it is so loud when you hear the pitch hitting the glove. It's like boom. It's like whoa.
Nobody talks about that. That bullpen that should have never been allowed. A manager from the other team should be, I guess they got a TV in there, but you can't see everything. You got to have the bullpen on the field. I don't know how the Cubs got away with that.
It is something. I'll tell you, they had to make room for all the new seats they're putting in. I don't know what's going on there. But I'll tell you one thing, going into Wrigley Field now is a total different experience from when you and I were younger and would go to the ballpark 20, 30 times a season. It is now what's the word? It's a social experience. They got so many restaurants.
You walked in for free after the 7th inning.
Yeah.
If I was down on Clark,
right.
Me and my buddies messing around, we weren't usually down that far. But when we were kids, if we were down there, we'd walk in the 7th inning. You got in for free, 8th inning.
Wow.
I mean, my uncle used to put the seats up after games when he was in grade school, and you'd get tickets for the next game. They didn't even have the upper decks open in the 60s. The upper deck wasn't even open during the week. You did a foul ball up there, it would stay up there.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
I'm on my game today. You feel like you don't know what's going to happen. And all of a sudden, Aldo starts rolling. We start rolling. Barroom's doing great. You got the free number at Vegas Scores and Odds, 1-800-808-3419, 1-800-808-3419. And make sure you follow them, folks. Give them a follow at VSAO.
Excellent. Okay. You mentioned earlier in the show that the Cubs might have a hard time tonight because they're going up against who is it? Wade Miley. He's 5-2.
Yeah.
He had a 3.32 ERA. He's facing Kyle Hendricks, whose ERA is almost similar, but Kyle is 4-4 for the season. So you think this game is going to be a tough one for the Cubbies, huh?
I think it might be pretty tough for them tonight. Look, they're good, okay? I watched Miley beat Chris Sale last week, okay? And the Cubs are good and Hendricks is good. And believe me, it's not to lose to Houston, if indeed that happens, is not anything to be ashamed of. I think they've accorded themselves well. I think the Cubs, pretty soon they'll get everybody back healthy. Hopefully the Bryant injury doesn't linger and stuff like that. But Houston's a powerhouse. Aldo. They really are. They're in the Boston Red Sox ilk. I think Boston's still making noise. The Yankees, I want to say this about the Yankees. This is what I do, folks. This is why you tune into the Mike North Advantage, brought to you by Vegas Scores and Odds, hosted by Aldo Gandia. Okay? This is why you do this. That's all I'm going to tell you. Okay, I started every day the Yankees are winning. I'm going, geez, they're winning. Why are they every day they're winning?
Yeah, they're hot.
Then I see who they've been playing. In the last 31 games, 18 of them have been against the Baltimore Orioles, Seattle Mariners, and the Kansas City Royals. Okay? So guess what? Here's what I'm going to tell everybody. They won't tell you that. Their day's coming. If they keep being shorthanded, they're going to start this coming month. They got a heavy dosage of big-time teams. Just remember I said that. But I will say this about the Yankees. They're beating the teams they're supposed to beat.
Excellent. Well, and we're talking about the Cubs also.
Thank you.
That's my announcer voice.
I hope that someday you can come by again and see me and my wonderful family. Thank you. Excellent. There we go. We got that out of the way. So what's on your mind, my friend?
All right, let's turn our attention to the Southsiders. Lucas Giolito. Oh, my goodness, the performance he put on the other night.
Who's the woman that threw the pitch?
Okay.
Who's the woman? Why are they not taking this and running with it. Why aren't they divulging the woman's name? Why?
For you
Why,
listeners,
Aldo? You're a marketer. You worked for some of the CBS, McDonald's. I marketed my whole life. This woman would be a movie star today. Why?
for you listeners who don't know what Mike is talking about, yesterday on Tuesday, the first pitch was thrown out by a woman, and she did a terrible job. She hit the photographer who was standing to her left.
Killed the guy.
That's right. Whacked them in the face with the baseball. He was about 10 to 15 feet away, at 10 o'clock on the clock meter. And so it was just embarrassing. And yet the White Sox and no media outlet publicized the woman's name to this.
How do you have sport? I'm serious. I'm going to give everybody just a flashback, okay? I'm not going to tell anybody how to run their business. In 92, when the score started, I don't care what year it happened, in the first 8, 9, 10, 12 years, her name would have been known at 7 o'clock this morning.
Absolutely, yes.
We would have had it, and we would have run with it. But the White Sox say they don't want her to be embarrassed, or she's not embarrassed, and she's embarrassed, or what have you. And all these, what have I been saying to everybody? There's no doubt that somebody told the media, you open your mouth about this woman, there's a problem.
Yeah.
How do you... Wait, if 50 Cent does it, his name's out there. If John Wall does it, his name's out there. But if you're a White Sox employee of the month, and she's already public domain, Aldo, once she was put on that pitching mound...
Exactly.
Where's the media? Mm-hmm. How can that be? How do we not know her name? So then, you know me, I did my investigative reporting. And by the way, the White Sox missed a golden opportunity. All they've been doing is showing the back of this woman today on the news with no name or anything. They could have had her on all the shows. Maybe they did, but I don't see that much on Twitter, do you?
No, not at all. It's like they're keeping her secret.
Why? Why would you keep it a secret?
I wonder if she is somebody really important, somebody who invests money in the team.
I don't care. So is 50 Cent.
Exactly. I don't get it.
So is George Bush. So is anybody that throws the pitch.
Right.
She doesn't get immune from that crap. I'll tell everybody a story. I remember some guy getting snotty on the air with me, and that was fine. But then he sent me a fax and he said something about BB. But you know what the station told me? BB was doing commercials at the time. Mm-hmm. It's public domain.
Well,
once you're out in public, that's the way it goes. So the White Sox tell the media not to say anything. And just think about who's in the media. Some very good people. Did anybody break the story of the woman's name?
I don't think.
By the way, I got her daughter.
Oh, really?
On Twitter.
What, how
Nikki @_bad gal Ninny.
She's a bad girl, huh?
Underscore. What?
She's a bad girl, huh?
She says here, Nikki, write this down, Aldo. Maybe you can get her up on this thing. Okay. Nikki @_bad, all one word, bad, gal, NINI _. And then it says here, Rod Smith, this has to be the worst first pitch ever before the Royals game. And Nikki @_bad gal Ninny _ says, that's my mom. So I don't know what her name is. I don't know what her mom, but Nikki at least put it out there. But there's no action for it because nobody wants to talk about it.
That is hilarious.
How does that happen?
I don't know. It's a cover up of.
People are afraid to say who threw out the first pitch in a damn baseball game. Wow.
Oh man, wow. I'll do some investigation. Wow. Maybe we'll get Nikki on our next show on our Monday night, Mike North Advantage.
Monday night, we're getting bad girl Nikki or whatever her name is. God bless her. But you know what? The White Sox aren't playing. You know what? The White Sox are playing an aggravating game of baseball.
Yep.
They're showing they can't get over the hump. Of course they'll beat Kansas City. Everybody beats Kansas City. But that's fine. I'm glad they're beating Kansas City. But it's over. Look at Minnesota. It's over, folks. The race is over. The other day they had 12 people in the stands in the first game for the suspended game, and then they win last night. There were more people, believe me, at my summer school graduation that were at the first White Sox game the other day that was suspended.
Well, you are right in that the White Sox are now 12 games behind the Minnesota Twins, and the Twins
They're finished, Aldo.
The Twins are playing fantastic ball. They are winning percentage is .685. It's the highest in the American League. So, of course, the White Sox are not going to catch the Minnesota Twins, but they are just 4 games under 500. They're 4-6 in their last 2. They've won their last 2 games. Again, the pitching has been a problem, but I want to talk about Lucas Giolito because this guy has the makings of being an ace pitcher. Let's talk a little bit about his stats. On Tuesday night, he gives up a 3-run homer in the first, and you think, well, okay, his winning streak is going to come to an end. No, he retires 22 of the next 24 hitters, gets 10 strikeouts. His ERA in May is 1.74. His ERA for the season is 2.65. It appears like Lucas Giolito has figured out how to pitch in the major leagues, and he could become an ace for these White Sox. We've talked about him before, Mike. I'd like your opinion on him now that he's continued this winning streak.
Oh my God! I mean, he's a breath of fresh air for this baseball team. He was one of my featured guys of the year. I said that he was my favorite pitcher. I think about a month ago on one of these shows with Aldo. I know that the guy's got other. I don't see Nova right now, or Lopez, or I guess they're okay. But Giolito's the one that looks like, okay, he's gotten it. He finally gets it. His ERA's 4-0 in his last, with a 1.73 ERA.
Right.
I'm not just glitz and glamour, folks. I could throw the stats at you. I'm just telling you right now. And Giolito is one of those bright lights which is going to help give this team some hope. Is it false hope? I don't know. Minnesota's an older club, not a couple of years average age older than the White Sox. But Rocco Baldelli, Paisan, has done a good job. He plays because he's got a lot of players that have the same skill set. He moves guys around. And he gives everybody, all 25 guys, are involved with that team. That's the one thing I've noticed as I watch them. They have different lineups every night. They got some good young players. It looks like their scouts have done a good job. And they've been growing from their own team. Their farm system, they build their own. The White Sox went out and got other people's players, like Moncada and like other people. Anderson's one of ours. He's still playing okay. I mean, he's still hitting 320. Moncada's slumping a little bit, but he's in the 270s. I like their grit. I like Giolito. I like the fact that he seems to be the guy that's taking the ball, and maybe that will rub off on somebody else on that squad. But right now, he seems to be a man standing alone.
He does. He does. And, I feel bad for a young pitcher like that when there aren't any veteran pitchers, to help him along and give him advice. But you know what? This kid, maybe he just doesn't need that. Maybe he's got the real stuff, and I hope he comes through for this White Sox team.
Well, sooner or later, you got to get up and pull up your own pants. I mean, the coaches can only tell you so much. Don Cooper's in the dugout. And Don Cooper's had a dry spell, folks.
Oh, my goodness.
He's had a dry spell. There's no doubt about it. So they need some good news because Don Cooper, the days of him chomping on that cigar with Garland and Contreras and Burley, and my guy Freddie Garcia, those days are long gone.
Yep. Well, and the story with Giolito is that he didn't get help from Cooper in correcting his pitching flaw. He went to his high school pitching coach and asked him, what am I doing wrong and so forth. And the high school pitching coach said, well, don't throw a ball for 2 weeks and just do these drills. And then he did the drills every day. And then 2 weeks later, he started throwing the ball. and all of a sudden he's throwing strikes like never before, like he did when he was younger, I should say. And it corrected the problem. And now Giolito's pitching, the best of his career, and he could only get better. So Cooper, as you say, he's in maybe he's been around too long. I don't know. There's something going on.
I will say this about this. He's not the first guy to go back to his high school coach or to a coach that's helped, a player. They do that all the time. I mean, the pro NBA players go back to their college coaches, and there's nothing wrong with that. But Cooper, you're right. Cooper's been with them for a long time. I like Don Cooper, always have, but you got to see some light at the end of the tunnel. And you know what? Giolito at least had the wherewithal. What am I doing wrong? And you know how many high school coaches could coach in the major leagues? A lot. A lot. It's who you know. It's how you got there. Maybe you were a major leaguer. That's how you got the position also. But there's a lot of high school and college baseball coaches that could coach and manage in baseball. I know that for a fact because I've seen some real dumbasses in this town.
You want to name a couple?
Tom Troublehorn.
Oh, that's right. Oh, a name from the past.
Guys across the street at a fire station yelling at the fans from the bullhorn. And then they retain him.
Yes, that's
Was he
right.
gone after that, or did he stick around?
No, I think he stuck around.
My God, you all suck. We're blocking the fire truck, but you all suck. We'll get better. Go screw yourself. Well, I mean, my God. That was bizarre.
That was truly, truly bizarre.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Oh, my goodness. All right.
And then Lee Elia.
Oh, my God.
I mean, my God, he just ripped the pieces out of the poor fans. Every year they're in last place and they're nickel and diming us. I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah. Greg Bragg.
But you know what?
Greg Bragg's
the Cubs are animated. You know what? The Cubs have always stolen the headlines.
Yes.
The Sox, like I said today with this woman. What's her name? It ain't gonna hurt nobody. Wow. Aldo, you got to get to the bottom of this.
I will. I will.
Thank you.
I will call Pat
That's what Evan
Zekman.
Rosenblum said. I talked to him today. He goes, I'm on it. He's from TMZ. They don't even know.
Yeah, TMZ will find out before me. They got the resources.
I'm not so sure. I'm worried about Evan.
There are people in the chat room who are dying to get your opinion on the Chicago Bears kicking competition because it was announced today, according to Steven Zimmerman in the chat room, is that the Bears are going to use these Arena Football League goalposts, which are much narrower in this kicking competition between Eddie Pinheiro, Chris Blewett. what a name, right? Chris Blewett.
Why would you have a name like that?
I know.
I won't even sign you.
Exactly. Pace said.
I'm sorry, Chris Blewett. My God.
We got to do a parody song on this guy. And Elliot Fry
Come
is the
on.
third guy in camp who's. So, what do you think about this whole kicking competition and the fact that they're using these Arena Football League goalposts, which are much narrower, to help determine who's going to be the Chicago Bears kicker in 2019?
You remember the discussion we had a few weeks ago about the nonsensical kicking of the Goose Island contest, okay?
Yes.
I really believe now they're overdoing it. That's just my opinion. I love arena football. I announced it for 2 years.
That's right, you did.
Those damn kickers. Oh, yeah, for the rush, me and Tom Dorr.
That's right. I
On
remember.
Sports, it was great.
Yeah, it was
and
fun.
and I loved the arena football. I loved they plastered people into the boards. And you kick the ball through those little uprights. I knew a couple of the kickers in the league. I mean, but
Can they still kick?
you know what? You're not kicking outdoors. You're kicking on AstroTurf.
Uh-huh.
And you know what? I don't believe if you're going to have your football team, that's like having a football team practice on a 30-yard field.
Yes.
Bringing the goalposts in. The only way to get better is to practice. I mean, that's like making a basketball rim an inch shorter in circumference.
Right, right.
No, why? Shoot at the actual basket. Kick at the actual goalpost. I don't know. You know what? I know people like gimmicks. But it's turning almost into a clown car situation now, isn't it?
I'm afraid that it might start to, yeah. And we've already been ridiculed.
Might start to.
I'm trying to be nice to my coach.
They were kicking from 43 yards. People were booing them, and,
Exactly.
and now they got the goalposts in. The circus has begun, my friend.
They had 10 kickers a couple of weeks ago, and they kicked the guy that looked like the best guy, this Bednarski
Right.
guy. So, yeah, it is getting a little weird. But hopefully.
Is this really how we're going to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, that's what worries me. They gotta.
And my problem is this. Let me ask you this. I know the Bears are they look pretty set right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But maybe they should hold an open tryout. I watched The Invincible. I love Vince Papale. I love the man. Met him. Had dinner with him at the National Talent Hall of Fame. I mean, the movie's great.
Yes, Mark Wahlberg.
And, and Vince was 6'3". Mark's shorter. But Mark did a great job. And to make a team from the Sandlot and to try out in your hometown, they should hold tryouts. You might find one diamond in the rough that couldn't get through the system. I mean, if you're doing this stuff, I mean, let's go full blown. You know what I mean?
Well,
But I don't think the Bears need that much. And are there no kickers? Is there anybody that's playing for Manchester United? Is Pele alive? I don't even know. Can we bring in Giorgio Chianti or whatever his name was from the Cosmos back in the 70s? Remember the Gogoleks? Anybody, right? I kept hearing, Aldo, there were nothing but kickers, soccer kickers all over the world. We can't find one.
that is true. All right. You want to make your picks now, or should we talk a little NHL
Yes.
and NBA? All right. Let's do the picks first. Here we
Let's
go.
do it all! Oh, yeah. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, let me read. Hey, punch this number in the phone. Put it in now in your content. 1-800-808-3419 for a free pick. And info to the premier handicapping site in the country, VegasScoresAndOdds.com. It's the only site you'll ever need with expert handicappers like my guys, John Anthony, Dennis Macklin, Tony Sacco, Ray Monahan, yours truly, and many more. Got like 16 of them. Got a team. Check out the homepage of VegasScoresAndOdds.com. Check out the talk board. I'm up there somewhere. And I'll tell you what, I'm second all time with my picks. I'm 183 games over 500 right now. I'm trying to get to 200. They told me when I was a kid you can't beat them. All I do is beat them. Now, pick packages that range from daily to weekly to monthly, or how about for the whole year? So dial up 1-800-808-3419, 1-800-808-3419. Right now, and win with me at Vegas Scores and Odds. All right, Aldo. Aldo, are you awake? Aldo!
I am here.
There he is.
I'm punching in 1-800-808-3419.
Aldo asked me 10 minutes ago for picks, but man, you got to eat up some time with that Vegas Scores and Odds. And Aldo, we're ready to go. And I got Cleveland versus Boston tonight, first of all.
Okay.
Now, you got the Indians, who came back from nowhere yesterday. Boston is smarting. You got Weber going against, for the Red Sox, going against Bieber. The Red Sox are 29-26. The Indians are 27-27. It's basically Boston minus 110 right now. In fact, it went down to minus 107. That means you bet $107 to win 100. It's a very slight favorite. I'm taking the Indians to come back and win again tonight in a pick. Now, by the way, I'm 22-11. I'm doing very well at Vegas Scores and Odds, doing well at Bears Barroom, doing well with the odds couple. Went 2-2 last week with Carmen DeFalco, so on AM 1000, so everything's going well. All right, so we have the Indians in a pick. Also, in that same game, take the under 9. The under 9 in the Cleveland game tonight. So the Indians and the under. It's a good parlay situation if you want to do that. And last but not least, Aldo was sniffing around. He's a gumshoe. He's a detective. He's like Jack Nicholson in Chinatown. Only he's got the nose. Okay? I got the Astros tonight. A 7-10 game against the Cubs. but the Cubs are favored by minus 111. Cubs are a damn good team. They're 30-23. Miley's coming off a Sale win. This looks to me like it might be a trap, but I got to go with what the system said. I could lose all three of these games. But so far, so good. Aldo very rarely sees on this. I have more trouble on my other venues than I do with Bears Barroom. It's been lucky for me from the 18-1-1 in football to now being a 22-11. So I got the Indians in a pick, Houston in a pick, and under Boston 9. Aldo, back to you.
Great stuff, Mike. It's Money-Making Wednesday nights brought to you by VegasScoresAndOdds.com. Head over there and take a look at what they've got to offer. All right, it is time to talk a little bit about the NBA Finals, and that is scheduled to start on Thursday, the 30th. I've got a clip for you here because everybody, of course, rightfully so, is talking about Kawhi Leonard. And he's coming off a fabulous series. He's played well throughout the entire season and playoffs. And so obviously there's going to be comparisons to Air Jordan. Well, this is what Antoine Walker said about Kawhi Leonard when he was being compared to Michael Jordan.
He's got some Michael in him because he can score. He has a good mid-range game. I think probably because Kawhi's hurt, plays above the rim a little bit better than Kawhi does as far as attacking the rim. But Kawhi lost a little bit of that with his injury. But basketball-wise, yeah, because he plays both ends of the floor. Michael will guard the best player, do things defensively. And the way Kawhi does it, he knows his spots. He picks his spots. He knows where he wants to go on the offensive end. He does have some Michael in him. You don't think about it, maybe because of the braids.
that from Fox Sports. Thank you for that clip. Mike North, tell me what you think about Mr. Antoine Walker comparing Michael Jordan to Kawhi Leonard.
He's got some moron in him. How's that? And by the way, I'm an Antoine Walker fan. I mean, the guy's a product of Chicago. I mean, it takes a lot of chutzpah to blow $85 million, man. You know? And now this guy's going to try to tell me that Kawhi Leonard, okay, is on any kind of level of Michael Jordan. Unbelievable. We go from Kobe to McGrady to Carter to LeBron. Now you get a guy that has a year. 1 year. I mean, he's had other years, defensive players, but he had other players.
Right.
Here's the first time he's ever had to be the man. And he does it, but you're comparing him to the greatest of all time. I'd like to sit Antoine down. Antoine here. The first thing I told him is drop the fork. He looks like he's put on a few LBs from his Boston Celtic days.
Yes.
But I like him, but that's outrageous and it's stupid.
Yeah, and I think it was Doc Rivers.
I didn't hear a lot of it because I was throwing up in a vomit bucket when I heard the crap. Wow.
Well, he made a good analysis about Leonard's game, but you still cannot make any comparisons to Michael Jordan. In fact, I wish people would stop making comparisons at a period, but if you're going to, at least wait till one player's career is over and the other player's career is over so you can look at it in total, because it's just ridiculous to take a look at a player who's in the middle of his career and compare him with the greatest player who's ever played the game of basketball. I mean, that's just ludicrous. Don't do it.
It's ridiculous to even ask. I mean, he had to be asked the question. It's a stupid question.
Yes.
Don't start this. Compare him to Kobe. Compare him to somebody else. Go somewhere else.
There you go.
Don't start this. This guy's going to he might leave. Here's how. Look, I think Leonard's pretty smart. I'd stay in Toronto if I'm him, but now they're talking he may go to the Clippers.
Yeah.
And maybe Durant may go there too.
Right.
Although I'm hearing Durant sold his home in the Bay Area and he's buying one in New York.
Ooh.
So, okay, but here's what I'm going to tell everybody. We don't care, because here's what I'm going to tell. Remember when everybody used to say, you better get LeBron in there and Durant? I don't miss them. It's a refreshing change. Milwaukee, Toronto, Golden State without Durant. I mean, moving the ball. Look, he may go after Toronto loses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And they are going to lose, regardless. But if he's Michael Jordan, If he wants to be compared to Michael Jordan and Antoine Walker wants some street cred after the stupid comment, then they win the series.
Here's a good two players to compare to one another. Kawhi Leonard and Stephen Curry, because they're going to play in this upcoming series. Compare, the importance of each player to their team. Compare, their leadership skills, and then talk about who's going to win the series. Don't compare Leonard to Michael Jordan. I'm sorry. That's just, I love the way you put it.
Steph Curry changed the game. He took the center away from the game.
Mm-hmm.
They're not important anymore. He brought the three-pointer into the game. He changed the way teams look at their teams. I mean, I remember Paxson saying 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, we're going to model our team after Golden State. No, you can't, because you don't have Steph Curry.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
You can think you're a Dodge Charger. I used to say, man, my car's really sounding like a Dodge Charger today. Then I realized I was sitting in a Volkswagen Rabbit. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
I would start fantasizing. Boy, the thing really started up today. Then I'd see a guy in a Camaro drive up to me and blow smoke in my face.
That's hilarious.
You are what you are. You are what you are, and to try to be somebody else is a mistake. And that goes for business or anything else. That's the way I approach my life. That's the way I wanted to be. That's the way I approach being on the air.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I mean, I didn't want to be like everybody else. That was just the way it was. If you try to be like everybody else, you're going to fail. You know how many teams tried to copy the Green Bay Packers in the 60s?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And forget about Bill Buckner. You want to talk about another guy, not forget about Billy. We talked about Billy. Right. How about Bart Starr?
Bart Starr, exactly, yep.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I loved the guy, and he was on the Packers.
Yeah. It's hard.
He was better than Rodgers, better than Favre. They won 5 titles. They were Lombardi's. Look, I watched a special on the NFL Network on Bart Starr the other night.
Mm-hmm.
Watch his passes, folks.
Yeah, sharp.
Pinpoint.
Huh? Yep.
Pinpoint. Everybody thinks, it wasn't all about bombs. The guy's throwing swing passes. Lombardi's yelling at him. It didn't even faze him. Didn't even faze. And the guy's the MVP of the first 2 Super Bowls. Are you serious?
Yep. It's amazing, yeah, because you're absolutely right. When he first came to the Packers, Lombardi really didn't like him and didn't think he had the leadership skills. And then all of a sudden, Starr starts playing in practice, and Lombardi starts noticing, hey, wait a minute, maybe I'm wrong about this guy. And he was wrong. Bart Starr truly one of the best.
Oh, my God. I watched the other night, Aldo. I'm watching this special. I saw 2 specials this week. I love documentaries, as you know. And I watched one on Johnny Bench. I forgot how great he was.
Oh, yeah.
And the Big Red Machine. And then on Bart Starr. And I'm going, these guys were ultimate, man. Bart Starr is a 2-time Super Bowl champion. And they stunk. And Lombardi came. He goes, look, I don't think you're that good. Told him straight up. And all this guy did, I never saw the guy throw 2 bad passes in a row. Right. I never saw Bart Starr. They throw 2 bad passes in a row, honest to God. He'd overthrow a guy maybe, but he was pinpoint. My God.
Yep. He was. It's too bad he wasn't a Chicago Bears in that era because we would have won more championships, but that's another story.
You know what? I never hated those teams. I respected them.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, I knew our guys were good. You know what? We won in '63 only because Paul Hornung got suspended. I'm telling everybody now.
It's true.
They took the best player in the league, one of the top 3, right off their team. Mm-hmm. It was, and they almost still won.
Yeah, it was a close game. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you this question going back to basketball. On Monday, when we get together for the Mike
I went off on a tangent. I got you off the track.
You did.
Where the stunt was. You were like a bloodhound going, what was I looking for again?
I'm looking at my notes for Bart Starr.
I was going to let you know what? I never worry about you. You always work your way out of it. You're a pro.
Thank you. Well,
I've only done that, what you just did, about 3,000 times, believe me.
I'm
What the hell was I just talking about?
going to edit that out of the podcast version. No, I'll leave it in.
You can if you want. Believe me, anything to make us look better. That's our motto.
There you go. Well, you could look really, really good on Monday's version of the Mike North Advantage, 7 p.m. here on Mixlr, and then out on podcast an hour and a half later. If you can give me an indication of what you think this NBA Finals is going to look like next Monday after the first two games are played in Toronto. We've got the Thursday game, Golden State at Toronto, 8 p.m. Central, and then on Sunday, it's a primetime Sunday night game, Golden State at Toronto. What do you think the series is going to look like with those two games in Canada?
I just hope I live to see the end of it. I mean, you believe they're playing like one game on Wednesday, the next one on Sunday?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
What are they doing? They used to, where are the bank? Play one day off, play. Day off, play. They're dragging this crap out. These guys get 3 days off. That was the LeBron influence. You're giving these guys 3 days off. It used to be the most fit team at the end stood. But now anybody can live through it. You play what? And I don't want to hear how everybody's rusty and hurt and all this crap. That's the usual BS. But I can't believe they spread it out like this. I happen to think it's going to be 4 games to 1 Golden State.
Yeah.
I can't go against them.
It's hard to. I mean, I have a lot of appreciation for what Toronto has done to get to the finals, but it's against East talent. The West is always loaded with more talent. I don't know why.
I got one for you, for Kawhi Leonard. I got one.
Okay.
Be LeBron. He beat them.
Yeah.
Be LeBron. Oh. Now, granted, they didn't have Draymond Green for the 5th game.
Right.
But doesn't matter. LeBron beat him. That's the feather. Look, LeBron's got 2 feathers in his cap for me. I'm not a big fan, as you know. He's doing Tweety's dancing and Nipsey Hussle. He's got to be relevant during the playoffs. Nobody cares. Okay? But he beat him. He beat Golden State, and he won in Cleveland.
Yep.
So be him. Win in Toronto and beat Golden State. You'll do the same thing LeBron did.
I love it. I love it. All right. Did you get a chance to look at any of Game 1 of the Bruins and Blues and Stanley Cup Finals, and what were your thoughts?
I'll tell you what. I'm glad you asked me about that because hockey's been sensational. The Bruins were the bullies. Like I said, they beat them. If you bought a goal, I didn't do anything, thank God, because I might have bought a goal and a half and lost. They seem to be a dominant team. I like the Blues to keep it close tonight. I might, if I was going to do something, I might do something on the total. But the system showed nothing today. But hockey, Bennington, the goaltender for St. Louis, he's a young guy. And you're playing under tremendous lights. You're playing an original 6 team. So we'll see what happens. But I happen to think Boston probably wins it in 4 games to 1, 4 games to 2.
I'll tell you one thing about this Bennington guy. He made 34 out of 37 saves in that Game 1, and he still loses. He was bombarded with shots. And that's a terrible feeling for a goaltender when in the first game of the Stanley Cup Finals, you face tons of shots and you play fairly well, but your team can't come through. So this Game 2 performance by Bennington will be an indication, in my opinion, of how the rest of the series is going to go, because you need a hot goalie in the NHL playoffs. That's if you're going to make a list of what you need in playoff hockey, you need a hot goalie.
The most important position. I mean, are you kidding me?
Really?
And you know what's great, though, guys, and for everybody at the bar room and everything, Toronto is a new team in the playoffs, in the finals of the NBA, and it's good to see the Blues.
Yeah.
So it's good that we got 2 new teams in there.
I agree.
I think that Milwaukee being in there, but I think the Greek Freak will come back next year. Although I'm going to tell them this: I would have, if I was the coach of Milwaukee, had Giannis not bring the ball down ever. He should have set him up down low. If I'm playing against Giannis and he's setting up at the 3, Aldo, I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
Shoot all day.
Exactly.
You made 25%. Put him down in the post next year. Mm-hmm. 80% of the time. Remember Patrick Ewing's game? He'd go out to the corner every so often, or to the wing, and shoot a three-pointer or shoot a jumper. But 90% of the time, I think I'm being pretty reasonable with that. He was underneath, wasn't he?
He was. I agree with that.
That's what the Greek Freak should be. He should model his game after Patrick Ewing, man.
Yeah.
He should. I know Patrick Ewing used to dribble the ball down the length of the court just like him, folks.
That's right.
And he stopped doing that, became a low post presence, and only because Michael Jordan was in the league Patrick Ewing doesn't have maybe 2 or 3 rings.
Uh-huh. Indeed. One last point about the Blues goalie, jumping back to NHL hockey. Binnington, I'm reading here, is 5-2 with a goals against average of 1.8 after a loss in the playoffs. So that's a good indication again for this game tonight. If Binnington can play like he has after a loss, play like he has in the playoffs after a loss, then this Blues team could make a series out of it. But I'm with you. I think the Bruins are going to. Did you make a prediction on this? I'm sorry. I know you did.
No, I didn't. But I will tell you, 4-1. But I'll tell you this. I agree with what you're saying, Aldo. Mm-hmm. But trends are basically BS. Uh-huh. Because if that's the case, then I'll come over to your house. You take about $5,000 out. I'll take $5,000 out because according to the trend, we're supposed to win tonight with the Blues. Well, that's not the way it works. That's not the way it works. It's a different trend. Trends work for so long, and then it's about momentum. And who's got the momentum right now? I think to me, the Bruins are bigger. And like you said, it's sort of like Toronto and Golden State. There's just one team I think a little bit better than the other.
I'm sorry, you caught me again in the chat room.
What the hell's going on? Grab. I know you're looking at the computer.
I was.
Is it Harp? Is it Harp or Smith?
No.
Which one is it? Is it Little Nicky or Tooch?
No,
Who is it?
It's NB Dub. He was talking about the Greek Freak, and he said that his drive was 80% of the time, and that spin move back to the middle. It only took 2 games for Toronto to figure it out. Yeah, it's good analysis there.
See, I'm glad you looked at that. If I coach him, I'm telling him, you're going to be underneath this basket or around the lane, down low, 90% of the time. If you have a problem with that, pal, you're not going to win a championship.
Yeah.
You can't have that guy bring the ball down like he's Magic Johnson.
Right.
And he's right.
Yep.
Because the spin move, they all knew. He had 1 or 2 moves, and he's practicing his 3. Get your ass underneath.
Get your ass underneath. And I replied back to our man, do you think that if the Greek Freak would have advanced to the NBA Finals, that people would have been comparing him to Air Jordan?
Oh, my God.
Because that's what's going to happen.
I'm so tired of it. No, they compare him to Jabbar. That's even worse.
Oh, my gosh, really?
Because Alcindor, well, you know what they were the other night? Because Alcindor played for Milwaukee.
That is nuts.
There's no comparison.
No.
I can promise you that. He's a good ball player. Let's leave it alone.
Hey, do you think that was one of the worst trades in sports history for the Bucks to unload Lou Alcindor?
He wanted out. He didn't like the culture in Milwaukee. He changed his name. Ed Kelly and Ed Verdoliak were the ones that got his name changed.
Really? I didn't know.
Yeah. He took the train from Milwaukee to Chicago. And my buddy Ed Kelly and Ed Verdoliak, they got his name changed to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Isn't that something?
They made it official in Chicago.
That is wild. Well, I
can... And I'll tell you something.
Uh-huh.
In this show, we've already talked. Do you know what Jordan and Jabbar in their primes would have done to Kawhi Leonard and the Greek Freak? I'm just saying. I mean, because those are the 2 guys that we were talking about. People saying like Leonard to Jordan and the Greek Freak. They went up to 15-3.
I agree.
Make it take it. Make it take it.
Oh my gosh! All right.
All right. And by the way, folks, don't forget Vegas Scores and Odds. Follow them at follow them at VSAO at VSAO. Dial them up at 1-800-808-3419. Go to the front page. Go to VegasScoresAndOdds.com. Go to my Twitter handle. I'm at the top, along with Bears Barroom and ESPN 1000, all the great venues that I'm at. And punch all those things and look at all that we have, from Vegas Scores and Odds, the front page, the leaderboard, and check them out at 800-808-3419. Give them a call. I've heard from some people who've won some money already, and I appreciate that. I had a guy, David Finn, played for a week, and he did well, so hopefully he's jumping in again.
There you go. Sports gambling is slowly sweeping the nation. Get in on the ground floor here with Mike North and VegasScoresAndOdds.com.
Yeah, not sweeping the nation in Illinois. They better get off their ass.
I know. It's ridiculous how long it's taken. I don't even hear them talking about it anymore. It's nuts.
No, they're worried about the crops.
All right, Mike, it's always great talking to you. Say goodbye to your loyal followers.
All right, guys. Everybody at the bar, I love you, Aldo. Great job, pal. Thanks. See you, everybody.
Okay, brother.